Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome back to Apple Cottage. This is Sandy, and I am Suburban Homesteader, Wyoming. Well, today begins a series of making holiday candies. And today we're going to make caramels. And I just love caramels. It was one of my favorite things to make when the kids were growing up, and I've made it year after year after year. So I'm going to show you my recipe, how I do it. I know there's a lot of different recipes, but you find that one that's just perfect for you and your family. So I'm going to share mine. Now I got a mail call from one of my subscribers. And she sent me just an amazing card. Nancy is her name. And she sent inside there a package of peppers, pepper seeds. So Nancy, thanks so much for the beautiful card and for the pepper seeds. And so I'm going to grow those, and I'll show you pictures as they grow. Now, when I first talked about doing this candy series, I was going to take names every single week, and at the end, just before Thanksgiving, give one person some of all the different kinds of candy. But I've decided to do it a little bit different. So every week I'm going to do candy, either one type or two. Like today we're doing regular caramels and chocolate covered caramels. And all you have to do in the comments below is say candy. Everybody that comments this week, next Monday during my video when we do the next candy, I'm going to draw a winner, and I'm going to mail a box of caramels to that person. These are the ingredients that we're going to need today. We need 2 cups of butter, 2 cups of corn syrup, 4 cups of heavy cream, and 1 bag of brown sugar. It should be a 32-ounce bag, 2 pounds. We'll need 2 teaspoons of vanilla. Some of the tools that you'll need is either a candy thermometer, or I use a digital thermometer that I can just press and it'll tell me the temperature. We also need 2 8x8 or 9x9 glass pans. We put foil in them, and on the foil we rub butter. And then we need a nice stock pan. Don't use anything aluminum. It has to be a heavy-duty pot or stock pan. The first thing that we're going to do is put all of our butter in the stock pan on low and melt it. It's starting to melt, and so I'm going to just stir it slowly. Make sure you have this on low heat. You don't want it to caramelize to brown. You just want it to melt. As you can see, the butter's melted. It hasn't changed color. I don't want it browned and I don't want it caramelized. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to pour in our whole bag of brown sugar. 2 pounds, 32 ounces. Now you can have this recipe. So if you only want 1 8x8 or 1 9x9 pan, you can just do everything in half. I'm going to mix that up a little bit. Then we're going to add our corn syrup and our heavy cream. Make sure you use a spatula to get every bit out. Corn syrup is not one of my favorite things to use, but I've been making this caramel for a long time, and my girls expect it to taste the way it tastes. We'll mix that a little bit. At this point, I haven't changed the heat, but as soon as we add the heavy cream in there, we're going to put it up to medium high. Now I need 4 cups, and that's exactly what's in here because it's a quart. So we're going to pour that in there. I'm going to mix that all well. And we want this to come to a boil. After it starts to boil, it will take it about 45 minutes to 60 minutes before it reaches the right temperature. So I'm going to continue to mix this. I'm going to turn the burner on to medium-high. I'm just continuing to stir it, and it takes it a little while before, a few minutes before it starts to really incorporate itself. At first it's very white on top, and the milk has to get drawn down into everything. It's getting easier to stir. The sugar is dissolving in all the other ingredients. At first it's thick, but now it's getting a little bit easier. And I will just continue watching and stirring this till it becomes a good boil, a rolling boil. So it's come to a boil. So I'm going to turn it down to medium. Let's check the temperature. Right now, it's basically between 185 to 190. We need it to be 248 degrees. To get 248 degrees, it will take us probably 45 minutes at least. Now, do I have to stand and stir it all the time? No. When it gets closer to the temperature, I do stir it more, but just make sure you're close by. You don't want it to burn on the bottom. And having a heavy stock pan really helps with that because it spreads that heat out evenly across the bottom. This is what you want, just a steady rate of boiling. Now you may have to adjust your burner a little bit, just depending on your stove. But you just want that continuous, even boil. If you need to turn it down a little bit, do that. If you need to turn it up a little bit, do that. If you're hanging a candy thermometer on the edge of your pan, you want to do it now, and you want to be able to just keep an eye on it. I just happen to like my digital thermometer much better. See that beautiful boil? That's that constant boil that you want. We're at 45 minutes right now, and it has decreased in volume size. It's about 100 or 215 degrees right now. Let's do another check of it. Got 215 still. And it still has to get to 248 degrees. So I'm setting my timer at 15 more minutes. And I will just keep checking the temperature every few minutes. We are at the 248. I want to show you how thick this is. So we're going to move over and pour it into our pans. It will continue to boil even though it's off the burner because it's so hot. And we are going to put in 2 teaspoons of vanilla. And we'll stir those in. Can you hear that noise? That's sizzling. And I want to mix that in well. And then we're going to put it into our 2 foil-lined and buttered pans. And I'm just going to try to divide it pretty evenly. Now I'm going to let those 2 pans cool some. And you can see a little where it's strung across. See how it's already hardened because it's got so much air around it? but soft to the touch. I can squeeze it. It's going to be perfect caramel. Our caramel is cool enough to cut. See how I can just pick it up? It's very flexible still. Now we're going to make some of the caramels covered with chocolates. So I am just putting that in. There's water under here. I have it on low, not quite all the way to low, but lower than a medium low. I have a wooden spoon and I am just going to start to stir this. Now because the water is already warm, look at how fast that starts to melt. They say you can melt these in the microwave also, but I like it that when you're doing it on the stove top, the water is always staying warm in there. And you don't have to put things back into the microwave if the chocolate starts to harden itself. So it'll just take a couple minutes to melt all that. Now to do the chocolate, I have a slotted spoon, and I'm just going to set that in there. Kind of move it around so it gets completely covered. And then I can tap to get the excess chocolate off. And then I can go to the next caramel. You can use, this is a milk chocolate, you could use a dark chocolate or a lot of different kinds of chocolates. I just happen to prefer milk chocolate. Here are some of the lovely caramels. And if we move over here, we can see the ones that I've already dipped in chocolate. I'm not done. Lots of caramels to dip and lots of other caramels to cut up. But I think this gives you an idea of just how wonderful these are going to be. Chewy, gooey caramels. Well, I hope you enjoyed watching Making Caramels. And I hope you'll enjoy this series of making holiday candy. I want you always to subscribe. I always want you to like it. I want you to share it. And this series is fun because it's the holiday season and a lot of people are making candy. So just share the video with your friends. Share it on Facebook, any place you want to. Let them enjoy the joys of making candy during the holidays. I will see you next week. Make sure that you comment below candy so that you can have a chance to win a box full of caramels and chocolate covered caramels. And next week, we're making fudge and we're making candied pretzels. See you next time.